Hi everyone, I'm Karen from SMD Knitting and welcome to our latest vlog. And today we have the pleasure of having Debbie Bliss here in our showroom giving us a wonderful demonstration and presentation and her new books, her new yarns. Welcome Debbie.
Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here. We've got a lovely shop.
Excellent, thank you. We thought we'd ask you just a couple of questions. You know, a lot of our viewers and a lot of our customers will probably all be asking the same sort of questions as well, but we thought we'd be a little bit different with some of our questions for you. So we thought about the blends of the yarn that you choose, and who taught you about the different fibres?
I've been really lucky because I've worked with people like David Watt at Design Yarns, who has been in the business for years, and because the people I've met are more technical, it means that I've been able to learn more things about fibres as I go along. And when we're looking at a yarn, so we go out to Pitti Filati twice a year, and it may be that I'll see yarns that I like and then the manufacturer will send them to me, but when I'm working with them I might think, you know, it doesn't have the elasticity I thought it was going to have, or it's not as soft. And that's when I can say to somebody like David, what do you think we could introduce to it? It may need a bit more wool to give it a little bit more stretch. It may be that it needs something else in it to make it softer.
Yeah.
So I rely on other people that are much more technical to tell me what we can do to make it, you know, the perfect yarn.
Perfect yarn, yeah, because that's what everybody wants. They want the perfect yarn, really, and something that they feel really comfortable with. Do you have a personal favourite blend?
One of my favourite blends has been a yarn I do called Paloma.
Yeah.
And that's quite an interesting way of how something will develop. When I first saw it, it comes from a company in Peru called Llay, and it was 100% baby alpaca, and it was incredibly beautiful, but it was also incredibly expensive. You'd have to take like a second mortgage out to buy, I think, one hank. So and that's when you get the advice of other people. So they were saying, well, you could introduce a really good quality wool into it, and so then it became 50-50, and in fact actually by doing that it became a much better yarn, because you still had the wonderful softness of the baby alpaca, but then you also had the strength and the durability of the wool. And there's just something about it. It's a chainette too, which before I had a chainette, I suppose I was slightly wary of them because I don't actually like the look of the construction.
Yeah.
In fact, when they're knitted, it still looks really lovely and like any other yarn, but it doesn't peel. So I would say that that's been one of my favourite yarns and blends.
Do you consider how easy an item is to make when you're designing? You know, because you've got those that are beginners, of course, that are going to pick up your patterns and your yarn and try and have a go at some of your beautiful designs. So do you ever have to compromise on the design, knowing that it really and only an expert's going to be able to do it?
When I'm doing a collection for a book, so rather than a single leaf, if I'm doing a book, it's usually about 12 designs, and then when I'm thinking about what they're going to be like, there's lots of other things I take into consideration too. I want there to be a really beautiful colour palette, so when you open it, what I like about having doing a booklet is that you can also tell the story as well by how the location you use, the models. But I'm also aware of technique too, so within 12 designs I'll try and have something that's simple for beginners or simple for, you know, many women work, so they kind of don't always have time to sit and do something very complicated. But I'm also aware that there'll be knitters who actually really love the challenge of something that is slightly more complicated or difficult. Well, sometimes I think some knitters have both. They'll have something simple on the go and something more challenging. So actually, yeah, it's a good question. It is very much part of when I'm looking at the 12 designs to have something. There's going to be something for everyone. You know?
Yeah, that's it. Excellent. Now, what do you think of fast fashion?
I think the problem with fast fashion has been that it has what tended to happen is because of the big turnaround. There are some of the big where they'll have something in, the following month there'll be something as well. Is that I think that there are that can lead to exploitation, particularly in third world countries. And, so I think for me that would be the most, the ethical one would be the most important problem with it. And there is something about making something, I think, particularly, rather than buying it, and that idea, which I think is much stronger now, going back to you have something and you keep it for years and it's your essential part of your wardrobe. There's also something very lovely about that, if it's something that you really treasure, that you make, you wash it properly and you lay it out and it's your favourite thing. But on the other hand, I can also see why, for younger people particularly, fashion's exciting and it's new and there's something different, and I can understand why you may want to have something perhaps cheap and cheerful. Yeah, for everyday wear.
Okay, and I can imagine your day's not a normal 9 to 5, and you're obviously out and about here, there, everywhere, globe-trotting. So what does a typical day look like for you?
A typical day, I don't know how many typical days there are, because it very much depends on what I'm working at the moment. So for instance, the fall, I have to keep thinking too about what season I'm on as well. So what have I just finished? I'm just halfway through doing spring summer 18. So just completed photography on some of that. We're waiting for some more yarn to come in from Italy. So at the moment I can't start on the next part of it. But then I'm also now looking at autumn winter 18 yarns as well. They're just beginning to come in from what we saw in Pitafilati in at the end of June. So that's what's happening at the moment. But then in a few weeks' time, and I've just actually started to do it, I'll be looking at the new colours that will be going into the ranges as well. So adding to the, not just so doing colour palettes for the new yarns for autumn winter next year, but also adding colours to the existing ones. But an awful lot also gets bogged down in emails and stuff. There's a lot of stuff and not always as much as the creative.
That's it, yeah.
I think that's true of everything, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And what would you say is the best part of your job and the worst part of your job? I actually do know. So the best part of the job is the kind of, I know it's a kind of, it's an often used word now, it's like the journey. And at the end of it, I love it when it's doing photography. Because also, if you work with wonderful people, and I do, so, a great photographer, a brilliant stylist, and to see those garments come back and then be transformed on that day. And that's the day that I can just sit there and grin, really, while everyone's doing that, and then it comes to life. It's wonderful, and sometimes it comes to life in a way that I hadn't thought of, and that's what a good stylist will do. Will go, actually, I thought I'd do this big sweater with a lovely, I don't know, pleated silky skirt or something. It's I love that. The worst part of it is the deadlines. Yes.
That can be crushing.
Working until the small hours.
No, absolutely. And also because I suppose in the early days of having the yarn, before it got bigger, is that your deadlines were about, we're going to do photography in order to just the turnaround to then get the patterns out with the yarn when it was going into the shop. So say you'd perhaps be doing photography in January before the yarn went in February. But now, with different distributors around the world, they'll have their reps meeting to sell the yarn in before it goes into the shop. So then you need to have the images for that. So it's that dreaded, when's the American, when's the so that it's the deadlines, and of course with hand knitting things can also go horribly wrong.
Yes. Well, Debbie, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure our audience will absolutely love this, and thank you very much, and if you're down here, have a fantastic day, and we've got fantastic Debbie Bliss yarns coming onto the website. They'll be on later on today, and everything will be live for you, so go shopping. Thank you very much. Bye.